Oops. Welcome, everybody, to another Rev Talk. We've been talking about how our words and our thoughts are just constantly streaming around our heads and can't slow them down. So we always say the word but this, but that. When we just realize that's a very negative word and it should be eliminated from our English language. And you should be aware when you're saying it because it does. Anything said before it is negated and they remember what's afterward. And Reverend Kim and I were just talking about that. And I had learned a couple years ago to not use that for that simple reason. And I'm thinking, I was looking through my writings and I don't use it very often. In the 3 pages I just quickly glanced through, I hadn't used it because it is such a powerful word that it takes you out of alignment. And that's just what you were saying. To stay in alignment, use your words carefully and choose your words. Don't speak rapidly. Think before you speak. Acknowledge what you're saying so that the other person understands as well as yourself.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Oh my gosh. That was good. You just summed it up pretty much. Yeah, I learned this. I was I was still trying to remember. It was a mastery class of some kind with of language. And that was one of the things that really stuck with me. The word but is a negating word. You know, like you said, anything you say before that word, when you say but, it's kind of thrown out the window. So, for example, I've had people say this, and I'm sure everybody has heard this was I don't mean to be a gossip, or I don't mean to be mean about this, but then you turn around and the person is going to say something mean because they've just informed you that they're going to say something mean. I don't mean to say something mean, but there it is. There it is. You know, you're going to say it. So I try very hard in my conversations to not use that word at all, to try and put the word and so my brain is thinking, like there's a part of me that wants to use the word but, and then I stop and I'm thinking, okay, put the word and. Because in a response to somebody who says, I'm not trying to gossip, but you immediately say, well, then don't. And I did that to somebody once, and they stopped
That's
and looked
good.
at me, you know, and then they were like, but I'm like, yeah, so it was funny because you know what, they really did want to say something mean,
Yeah.
so I don't know if there's like a social thing that's attached to it as well. Like, okay, I want to come off as a really good person, but I'm not,
You
because
want everybody to think you are, but
right, but they're going to say something mean. Well, I don't want to say anything mean, and I'm not going to, you know. So if you use the word and in place of but, it changes the energy of the statement. It changes, you know, everything about it. And so it's like try doing that. It's, when you're, and of course part of that is you have to retrain yourself to pay attention to what you're saying. That's kind of the key. And I catch myself, you get into a heated discussion with somebody, or you're like really excited about something, and you're just saying stuff, and that word but comes out, then it stops me now. Now I'm aware of it, so I stop myself, and I say and. Well, then you have to think of then you have to actually consciously think of what it is you're saying instead of just, bleh.
Well, I remember it's like when I'm getting up in the morning saying my gratitudes and hoping to have a great day with my mother. And in my mind, I've already having a great day is not having a great day, hoping to have a great day. So I need to put it in the positive by saying it's going to be a great day with her. We're going to get along well. Instead of
Or,
I'm hoping to. In other words, the
right,
hope is not a positive. It's hope, but it's not completion.
right. And,
And this
and
is
I've done that too, where I've actually stopped myself, like when I send out prayers, oh, please, oh, please send healing to this person, or please help this person. I stop myself, and then I flip that around and I say, oh, you know what? Thank you so much for sending healing to that person. Because then
it's done.
it's done. You've already sent that out, that it's going to happen, and it's done. So that's another one that I'm kind of training myself. I stop myself and say, you read all these things from Facebook, please send healing energy to, and please this, and people say, oh, sending it. It's for me, you attach the gratitude to it as well. Thank you for sending that out to somebody. Then you've attached the gratitude, which is very powerful. So you've attached gratitude to what you want to send out to that person. Thank you so much for sending them healing energy, or thank you so much for, helping them with this, or thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Powerful, two powerful words. Thank you.
Yep. I agree.
So words, and I know we've had a discussion before about how powerful words are. It's also a matter of being aware of your words. So yes, there is power to them. Yes, there is. It's not just words. The universe, now what were you saying before about the universe not?
Words are energy. They don't
Yes,
know right or wrong. It's the energy you're portraying your words.
exactly, exactly. So, it can be, oh, well, that's just a word. Yes and no. It's also the intent behind it and the energy put by it. So for me, it gets it gets it gets tiring. It gets tiring for me to try and pick. So I'm just like, you know what? Thank you. Okay, thank you for sending the energy. Thank you. Instead of getting caught up in my head about, okay, should I have said it this way? Maybe I should have said it another way. Maybe says, you know what? Thank you for doing that for me. So I'm
Yeah.
thanking the universe for sending the energy where it needs to be. Yay.
That's good. It takes the not knowing if it's powerful or not because it is powerful because of the thank you.
Exactly. You're
Mm.
absolutely right. I mean, it brings to mind years and years ago, my grandmother I was talking to her on the phone, and my niece, who was in Girl Scouts at the time, or Brownies, I mean, she was flying out to Oregon for the big jamboree, whatever that is with the Girl Scouts. I know I'm gonna mess that up. And my grandmother was in tears. I'm talking to her on the phone. She's crying. She said, I'm praying and praying and praying. I'm like, what are you praying about? And she said, well, that Rachel gets out there safely and that she gets back home safely. And 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 I'm like, after I got off the phone with her, it just kind of irked me. Like, really, is that all the stronger your faith is? You have to keep praying and praying and praying. And of course, the era that she came from, the whole gratitude beforehand was not something that was taught. You're
That's
thanking,
true.
you
It's
know,
not.
you're it isn't, you're thanking the universe ahead of time for it already happening. That's something that we're all learning. It's not something that was learned way back when, but it just kind of like, wow. Now, I also understand prayers and mantras are also very powerful. I think it's again, like you and I said, the energy you put behind it. She had fear behind it. She had fear in her prayers about horrible things happening. I think when you go into a prayer or a mantra or anything about that, you go in with the intent of pure joy,
Yeah.
gratitude that that the outcome is going to be positive, however that's meant to be. Whatever the outcome is, it's going to be for the highest good of all. It's something that needs to be practiced. I completely admit I need to continue to practice, the positive, the thank you, the gratitude, until it becomes much easier.
It's just a matter of acknowledging how powerful our words are and how powerful a message that they send out. You need to think before you speak and speak from your heart, not from your mind. And too many people are so busy today, they just chatter, it comes right out. They don't think.
Right,
And it involves a lot of people. Anybody that you speak to, it involves them and how they react. And then it snowballs. So
right,
if you throw something out and say, I love you, but, well, that snowballed right there. And she's going to turn and say the same thing. And you can't. You have to be positive and exemplary of your words.
right,
Always, always say the best and always hope and they see the best outcome for all concerned. And it puts you in a different mindset. It allows you to speak more freely and clearly, and you don't get hung up with the day-to-day garbage.
right.
And it's easily done, really is, if you just take the time to think before you speak. I've learned so much by taking deep breath that before I answer now, I almost always take at least one full deep breath, and my deep breaths are long. And sometimes people, okay, but it's because it gives my body time to settle in to say what I want to say from my heart.
Oh, I love that.
And it's just something to slow yourself down. Everything else is moving so fast and everything's progressing and moving and doing. And when I babysat, it was just like we're sitting there and everybody's on their peripherals and watching TV and playing with the animals. And I'm sitting here, does anybody just sit and do one thing at a time? They don't. If you
No.
watch across the universe, nobody sits and does one thing at a time.
Well, I know there's that whole thing about women tend to be multitaskers, which, you know, eh, and men are more linear. Not getting into that whole discussion, but I find myself, you get into a routine, you're multitasking this or this or this. And it is kind of a slippery slope because you kind of go on autopilot.
That's exactly what you do.
So you're, you're not being consciously aware of, your surroundings or being in the present moment or what you're actually saying. It's coming from your mind and bleh, you say it.
Throat. Mm-hmm.
So it is a practice that is helpful to, like you said, take that deep breath and be consciously aware of what you're going to say rather than how you're going to win an argument. It's not about being right. It's about being in your own power, and coming from a place that's in the present moment, that is your true self. You know, it's a matter of, again, you know, being consciously aware of what you're saying instead of just, you know, throwing a comment over your shoulder, or, you know, and I have people that make make fun of me because I spend a lot of time analyzing conversations I've had, thinking to myself, and so, and again, so thinking to myself, I could have maybe I could have said that differently, or you know, maybe I could have, you know, or not said anything, or you know. So for me, it's a matter of I need to be more present in the conversation rather than think about it later on, because you know there's a whole lot of stuff that can come back at you later on, like,
Yes.
wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
So again, being consciously aware of what it is you're saying and the words you're saying, because in its extension, we are powerful. We are powerful beings. So our words do have power. They do carry weight. You know, to be mindful of that. And so instead of, you know, wanting to gossip about someone, or not wanting to gossip about somebody, but
That is a word that probably should be negated from our vocabulary. See how
well,
hard it is in the day to come.
well, right, a challenge, you know, try to not use that word, or be mindful when you do, as to, you know, where you're putting it and what you actually mean.
Exactly. I was just thinking, when you go shopping, should I buy this apple, or but should I buy this? No, 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 no. You know, you got to
I
use a different word.
I could
And
buy
or.
this. I could buy this, but it's like, no, and I could buy
Yeah,
this, and I could do this. And, you know,
yeah,
so it is. It's a matter of being mindful with our words.
very important.
Ah, so with that, I think we're complete here. I want to thank you again for joining us for another Rev Talk. We want to remind you to be gentle with yourself, and to be kind to yourself, and to remember that you are unique in all the universe. There will never be another just like you in all of space and time. You are powerful, you are cherished, and you are loved. And without you, the song of the universe would be incomplete. Until next time, my friends, be well.